Hi there. This week we're going to talk about using our cherished books, those that are on the shelf that we rarely pull out, and yet we don't want to get rid of them. This is one for me. It's from a museum, and I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can do with these cherished books that won't destroy them. And part of it will be using translucent papers with washi tape. Now these books, they have heavier paper and there's a coating of some sort on them so the washi can release easily. In this one, I'm using it as a way to practice something. And I'm starting with tracing paper. And I fit it to the page, use some washi tape to attach it, and then practice my lettering. I've wanted to learn how to do this for a long time. I would love to do quotes in brush lettering, but I'm not good enough yet. And with the giveaway, more at the end about that, I'm going to give you some quotes that are a digital resource, but unfortunately, I haven't been able to letter them myself. I use this pen. I'll link below. It's a Fudenoske brush lettering pen. And I can do words, tear them out, and like on that little tag. So I put them in, and I enjoy the photos of beautiful paintings. I remember seeing these paintings when I was at the museum. It brings back good memories. It inspires me, and I take it off the shelf every evening when I have a chance to practice this kind of art. And the other thing that I want to learn, and I'm putting in this book too, is how to just basically draw basic shapes. And I'm using painter's paper to draw out these shapes with a Posca pen. It's a permanent pen. Now the painter's paper is very thin. One side has a coating and one side is a little more rough. And I'm using the rough side. And it gives me a chance to practice this also in this book. Again, it's coming off the shelf and I'm using it. And washi tape attaches these things to the book. And when I want to remove them, I can. There's no damage to the book. I'm imagining that you also have some books on your shelf that you value, that you cherish, that you'd love to perhaps look at more often, but you have to actually think about it. I'm packing boxes, and there are so many books that I have that I'm trying to make good use of rather than throwing them in the landfill. Now this is wax paper, and the Posca pen doesn't dry right away, so I have to be careful. But when I use it and I let it dry for a bit, then I can tear out the image that I make, and I can use some washi tape just to attach it to the page. And I'll practice different ones from this book. I'll link below the book and the author, so if you're interested. It's fun. I'm not an artist. Drawing is not one of my strengths, but I think I can learn to doodle. So, this way, a cherished book becomes a tool in my junk journaling journey. And then, So what is something that you would like to learn? Do you have a kind of art that you'd like to practice? Maybe you can marry it with a book that you cherish and that's on your shelf currently not being used. Then we're going to move on to another book, again about Germany, and again it's a hardback book, and I'm using it in a different way. I'm using it to save items that I make. And the different translucent or lightweight papers I'm using, some of it is a acetate or a bag that is clear, and you'll see why and what I'm using it for. There's tissue paper, In this video, I didn't show how to use tissue paper. You can use pencil crayons on that. That's a glassine bag, and it's translucent, and you can use it to keep things in. And I'll demonstrate later in the video too, you'll see. And that's wax paper, painter's paper, and an envelope with a window. And that's just a junk mail envelope that came in the mail. And tissue paper, tracing paper and vellum. They look so similar, but they are different, and I'm going to demonstrate the difference. With tracing paper, for example, it will, as you can see there, I painted on that tracing paper. It buckles, and it's fun. It's a good experience. But sometimes you don't want paper that will bleed through, and that's where the vellum comes in. Now, I'm practicing stamping. I am not a good stamper, meaning the images that I stamp don't always come out well. So I thought I can use tracing paper and use permanent ink and have these well-stamped images in this book where I'm enjoying the photos. And when I want to make something, then I can use the stamped image, just tear it out like you see me doing, and put it on an item. Now I'm going to demonstrate with this. I have a index card that I've covered with old book page. Now this book page is so fragile, it breaks. It almost breaks when you look at it. So I have to glue it down very well to a strong substrate. So I can add some washi, attach the tracing paper to this old book page. You can see the book page through it. And you can write on the tracing paper. So this old book that's on my shelf, that I cannot remember the last time I looked at it, but neither do I want to give it away or throw it away. Now I can interact with it regularly. And I can keep things that I'm creating in the book. And you're going to see a few other things that I'm keeping. And I'm using these very thin items in the book attached to the pages with washi tape to store these items. And some of them are, I think, a little creative. So I can write on the tag. I'm just showing you what an option is. Now this that you see is actually tulle. It's very lightweight and it's very strong. So I attached it with washi tape, and I can hang bulb pin with stamped cloth or with dangles onto the tulle. And it's so slim, it doesn't take up much bulk in the book. So it's a good way to store it. And on the opposite side that you saw me touching was a ribbon that I've been slow stitching. And I want to learn how to do that too. I have so many crafts or skills that I want to learn. And if they're all in one place, it reminds me of what I want to do. And that's one way we can use a cherished book. Now choose your books well. They have to be bound very well. The binding can't be loose. It has to be pages that can support something extra happening. It has to open up easily, meaning it's lies flat. Now here's some painter's paper, and I'm just stamping on it, and it's attached in the book. And when I want to use it, all I have to do is snip it off, just like that. And I can use it in a craft. In this case, I'm going to use it on the back of the tag that I was making as an image. And you can imagine strips or a page of this painter's tape that is easily removable because of the washi and because the quality of the page, being a way to store your stamped images, or at least a practice to stamp, because I need to practice. And then it's available to use. And you're looking at the book, looking at the photos, interacting with a beautiful, what would normally just sit on a shelf or on a table. The homes that I've lived in have had bookshelves in every room. Unfortunately, I've never had space to sort of let them lie around. So you have to take the action of taking the book off the shelf to interact with it. We homeschooled our children, so we had a lot of reference books. I go to the library regularly. I love books. When we moved from one country to another, half the weight of our moving was in books. So I do not alter books without careful thought. I almost have my own rubric of what I'm going to alter. Now see, there's another idea. You can keep random stamps on a piece of acetate in the book. You know how you use maybe half of the stamps on a sheet and the other half get shoved in a drawer or a box? Well, this way it's quite evident which ones are left. And that's vellum. And I'm going to use brush pens on it. Now, if I were using tracing paper, it's too light and it buckles, but the vellum doesn't. It stays smooth and nothing bleeds through to the backside, even though you can see it. And so you can practice. I'm trying to make a rose there. I don't know if that's evident or not. Again, practice. And still, you have a reason to look at those gorgeous photographs. And the ink doesn't come off. It's permanent. I decide I want to take a little circle out and add it to my tangle on the tag. Now, if I thought ahead far enough, I would have colored on it ahead of time, but I didn't. Yeah. How many books do you have on your shelves? Do you have a lot of books? When I go to the library, there are stacks of books that the librarian is giving away, that the library cannot hold all of them. And I have a very friendly relationship with our local librarian. And we were just discussing it's sad because she would be forced to throw the books away into the landfill. I've looked into ideas on how to reuse books. I was researching just the other day about giving books to prisoners, those that are incarcerated. But the ones in our state where I live, they are only taking funds to purchase new books. Yeah. So we as junk journalers, we as art, craft people, using these older books in different ways, we're actually saving the books from landfill. Yeah, now I'm putting on an envelope, and it's a glassine envelope. It's similar in texture, but it is more slippery. It's hard to color on them. There's going to be a giveaway. Unfortunately, my budget doesn't work for sending things internationally, so sadly only for those in the US. And here's what's in what I want to give away. The bottle is for glue. Last video I showed you how I put the glue in the bottle. And there's bits and pieces in the giveaway, just things that are from my stash that you might find fun to play with. Now, for all those that are outside of the country or don't win, because unfortunately there's only one person that can win a giveaway, I've also created a digital. And the digital is about quotes about being kind. And I'll give you the link next week, in next week's video. Next week I'm going to show you all the books that I've been working on, talk about what I learned while I was working on them, and then do this giveaway for all those that leave a comment. And then this series of altering books, I'm going to finish it next week. And on to something new. We are moving right now, so yeah, it may take me a little bit to get the next craft room organized, but I can't not craft. It's my happy place. So we'll see you next week. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for subscribing. I look forward to spending time with you next week. Take care. It's Laurie at Positive Thanks Living, and I wish you well.